So I started publishing August 30th, 1996, but I had my first launch. I sold my first product in January of 1997. So at that point, I didn't know how to sell. I'd never been a salesperson. I had this fundamental belief that people wouldn't actually buy from me, that there's no way I could create something of value that people would give me money for. In fact, I didn't even think through that much. I just was scared to ask for the order. I was scared to ask these people that have been subscribing for free to buy something for me. I thought they would just all turn me down, but I was desperate, so I went ahead and did it. And what I did, since I didn't know how to sell, I started romancing people. And I just gave them tons and tons more value. And one of the things that was really interesting was I did something way back then that for years later it would have a name, and it was called sublisting. And so I had been publishing about the general stock market and mutual funds and things like that for investors. And my product was actually going to be for traders. And traders and investors are two different things. They're both interested in the stock market and they're related, but they're not the same thing. So what I did was I sent out an email and said, hey, I've been publishing to you about the stock market, but I know a lot of you are traders, are interested in trading the market. And if you're interested in trading, then I forget what I did. I don't know if I sent them to a subscribe link or if I told them to just write back to me and tell me I was interested, because my technical expertise back then wasn't all that great. So I can't remember exactly what we did, but I got them to basically raise their hand and say, yeah, I'm interested in trading. And then I gave them a whole bunch of value for about a month or so leading up into the launch. And then in early January, I sent out a really long email that said, I've got this paid version coming out that's going to be even better than all the free stuff I've been giving you. And it's funny looking back on it now, but it was the basic elements of what I now teach in Product Launch Formula, what has now evolved and evolved and evolved into this hundreds of millions of dollars in results and launches. But I stumbled onto that early on, right from the very beginning, because I was scared to ask for the order, so I decided to build value. And in that first, the very first morning after I sent out that really long email saying, please buy my new thing, I got an email back, and it was from a gentleman in Switzerland, and he said, I'm sending you a check, which is the only way I could take orders back then, because doing like online payments was sort of like rocket science in early 1997. So literally that long email said, if you're interested, write out a check and mail the check to me. And so that very next day, a gentleman from Switzerland, I couldn't believe it, that someone in Switzerland was going to send me a check to me sitting in Colorado, down in the basement on a homemade desk with no credentials whatsoever. And that was the start of it. And a few more orders came in. I did have the good sense to have high prices back then. So even though I didn't get that many orders, I still had $1,650 in sales, which was absolutely monumental to me back then. I mean, I did that in a few days' time. My goal for the entire year was just to try to somehow make $10,000 to try to help support the family. And everything has come from that now. So that, even though I've done these multi-million-dollar launches, I've done $1 million in a day many times over. I've done multi-million dollars in a day. I've done $1 million in an hour in sales. But that very first launch of $1,650 was absolutely the most important, because it proved to me that I could create something that people would actually pay me. So that was one thing, that people would actually pay me money for something was absolutely amazing. And then the idea of building value ahead of the sale, and the idea of creating that sublist, that interest list, for people to raise their hand and say, I'm interested. And then once you have segmented off that list, then you can follow up, in a different fashion than you would with your main list. So that was the first launch, and it changed everything for me. So if you're watching this at my blog at jeffwalker.com or at Facebook or YouTube, just give me some kind of reaction. And if you think this is valuable to someone, go ahead and give me a share, and let's go get them this week.